Yo, what is good, everybody? It is your boy Golden Falls, Golden What Ifs, whatever you want to call me, and I'm back. This is part 3 of What If Deku Had Majin Powers, and as always, if you guys enjoy the video, show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff, and yeah, check the links in the description if you want to check out my Spotify and also my Discord, and yeah, that's all I really got to say. Hope you guys enjoy the video, and I don't want to waste much more of your time, and let's get right into it. Let's get it. Izuku Midoriya and Katsuki Bakugo are about to face off with All Might himself, but a lot of people believe that this is far from fair. Izuku has legitimately not shown any massive capabilities of actual fighting. He hasn't shown like some insane feats of actually being able to straight up fight people. He showed a little bit in the UA Sports Festival, but that was about it, and it was more of a raw power situation. And frankly, Izuku continues to kind of show that he's really more of a healer and more of a support person. But here's the thing, Izuku's going to have a chance to really show off what he's capable of in this fight, especially because he's going to be able to work with Bakugo and show that Bakugo's kind of sabotage-esque attitude won't even matter, because Izuku begins to go straight forward right into basically a fight with All Might, and everybody is in awe at the fact that Izuku is genuinely hitting All Might, like dashing back and forth, hitting him, and it looks very similar to somebody that people have heard about and have actually seen. Well, a couple of them have seen, and that is Gran Torino. And it seems odd because they had no idea that, well, you know, Izuku was gonna be this good at fighting, but he's not really damaging All Might at the moment, like at all. So it's kind of neither here nor there, right? He's not damaging All Might at all, so it doesn't really matter, but he is slowing down All Might. And Izuku continues to do this, and All Might or Bakugo follows up with explosions as well, and they continue to try and fight All Might, but they don't land, or they don't really land anything that is determining. They don't really land anything that is really hurting All Might, and there's a couple reasons for that. First, well, the explosions and Izuku's feats of strength aren't amazing. Secondly, All Might is borderline in his prime now, so there really isn't much of an issue when All Might is fighting the kids. But on top of that, yes, he does have some things weighing him down and some things that are kind of, you know, holding him back just a little bit, in terms of weights and weight and all that. And all the, you know, all that good stuff, but it really doesn't matter. It actually is the fact that Izuku and Bakugo are just not that strong in comparison to the durability that All Might is truly showing off. And that is the reality of it, and that's the reality of what's going on during this fight. Eventually, Bakugo is going to have to understand that there is no winning here, because All Might begins to hit Izuku with all of his strength, smacking him over and over again, but Izuku is able to recover extremely quickly, being able to, for the most part, kind of heal himself back, regenerate, and just his durability is through the roof. So he's like a constant pest that keeps going after All Might over and over and over again, but he doesn't actually, or isn't actually able to sustain it. He's not actually able to injure All Might to a large degree. This would eventually lead to Bakugo and Izuku realizing they're gonna have to just run away, and Izuku actually awakening another power, something that he's actually been working on for quite a bit. He grabs Bakugo, flies off, and then immediately looks toward All Might as he charges at them and stops him with some sort of telekinesis, seemingly adding magic of some sorts and stopping him entirely, unable to move and unable to push forward. Izuku, well, he's able to stop All Might and stop him in his tracks. And everyone's thinking, this is insane. How is he able to do that? How were they able to stop All Might from chasing them? Bakugo and Izuku would eventually escape, and they would pass their final exam just like that, by escaping to get help, quote unquote, but more or less escaping from the fight against All Might. And All Might even says that he didn't expect Izuku to have powers like that, and Izuku says that he has a lot more. He knows he does. He just continues to awaken them as he continues to train more and more and more. And of course, they're preparing for the forest training camp, so it's a perfect time for Izuku to work on all of his powers and then eventually work on kind of gaining new powers. And that's the perfect thing for Izuku and everyone there. And here's the thing. Initially, they were thinking, oh, this is going to be great. They're going to get there. You know, Class 1A arrives and they get chucked off a mountain and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, they have a bit of a training session by destroying these Earth-like monsters. And they were thinking, this is going to be amazing still. This is going to be great. I mean, I can't wait to have a good time with doing what we're doing. I can't wait to get some good, solid training in. And yes, Izuku does get that good, solid training for a couple days, actually. Getting that good, solid training for a couple days. Still working on all of his powers, from his like magic-esque powers to his healing to his regeneration, everything you could possibly think of. He's still growing, he's still gaining, he's still gathering even more strength. But eventually, he actually sees and hears some things going on. He hears a massive, massive group of people. And we're talking, it seems to be a group of people that is just in a normal city location, or at least they hear something like that. But then the sound stops and they're confused. Well, it was because portals have opened up and villains have invaded the forest training camp. And Izuku thinks very quickly on his feet, flying away, as he thinks that, well, Koda, a little kid that he met at this forest training camp, is gonna be under attack, in which he was right. Koda is under attack by someone by the name of Muscular. Muscular is a giant monster of a being, a monstrous freak of nature, and Koda is sitting there like a sitting duck. There's no way for him to get away. There's no way for him to be stopped. But Izuku chimes in and goes in and absolutely starts beating on Muscular, dashing around, clashing with him, and Muscular even kind of transcends into his more muscular form, grabbing Izuku and tearing him, literally tearing him in half. And then Izuku just regenerates. He tells Muscular that there's nothing he could do that will kill him, and he'll always come back. And he continues to beat on Muscular more and more. And he feels his wound heal up entirely, just completely healing up the massive wound, and his organs regenerating themselves as well. And Izuku would eventually beat on Muscular to the point that he's finally defeated, finally out cold and completely incapacitated. Izuku would grab Koda and Muscular, flying him back to the forest training camp, throwing him on the ground, telling Aizawa to make sure to keep tabs on that guy and don't let him get away. Aizawa is pretty damn impressed. He's thinking, okay, this kid is damn serious, and he is definitely no joke. And of course, Izuku basically continues to help as many people as possible, but before you know it, he would feel something tap him. A sensation would grow over his body, and it would be extremely weird, extremely odd. He doesn't know what it is, how it came to be, and what it's coming from, but he realizes that he is trapped now, stuck in a small-ish marble, and he could just feel the world around him slightly shaking, as if they're moving, as if they're going somewhere, as if something's happening. And eventually they would arrive at the destination, whatever destination they're currently going to. He would basically come out of this little marble, and he would see that he is surrounded by villains, by Nomus, and they have him completely strapped to a chair, unable to move and unable to actually do a single thing. Izuku questions what the hell they think they're doing, and that they're making a massive mistake. Of course, the villains say no, they are not making a massive mistake, and frankly, Izuku is the one that made a massive mistake when he decided that he wanted to be a hero in the first place. That he could have been so much greater, that he could have done so much for science, for everything. And it's just some random scientist telling him all these things. Izuku would tell him to leave him alone, that if he wants to have a fair fight, he wants to go head to head, he wants to, well, get beaten badly, well, let him go. Uncuff him, get these cuffs off of him, and he'll show him what he can really do. In which the scientist would tell him that, well, that's eventually going to happen, but don't worry about that. Not just yet. He questions Izuku, asking about his powers, asking about what he could do, asking about this or that, and then he walks up with a syringe and he begins to extract blood from him. Izuku would tell him to basically F off, telling him to stop right now or else. And the doctor just kind of ignores him and walks over and puts the vial of blood in a different place. Izuku would look down to see his wound, and he could see that his wound is healed, but his wound is actually a different color. Like the outline, it's like a scar. It's a different color than his normal skin color. He wonders, what the hell is going on? Izuku would eventually hear some odd things in the background, and Izuku would question once again, what the hell do you think you're doing? In which the doctor or the scientist would tell him that they've been trying to create something interesting. They've been actually, or to this day, they actually got a little bit of his DNA, but they weren't able to actually utilize it. I mean, at the end of the day, he is quirkless, but he does have powers that are different. Powers that are like, let's say extraterrestrial in a way, in which immediately Izuku shakes his head and says, what, you think I'm some freaking alien? Like, what is wrong with you? Are you stupid? In which the doctor or the scientist says, no. They don't think that he's an alien, not per se, but they do believe that the blood that runs through his veins is an answer to a lot of things. And they've been working on something, actually for quite a bit now, working on someone, in which immediately Izuku shakes his head. What the hell are you talking about? As they reveal somebody to him, reveal this, well, feminine looking person. And he's not sure who it is. He doesn't recognize anybody or by any means at all. And he eventually would see the blood that he has pumping through this somewhat machine that goes into, well, this person. And as it does just that, the machine would begin to freak out. It begins to shake like vigorously and completely kind of smash itself together. And eventually someone pops out. It's a woman, but it's a woman with pink skin and a woman with flowing white hair. Izuku is confused. This is what you wanted? You wanted to create someone else? You wanted to create a person? Why not just, do it the old fashioned way? Maybe you could have done that. Or do you just not go out very often? Maybe you can't get any women. In which he continues to taunt the scientist, and the scientist tells him to shut his mouth as he's shocked intensively, and he basically tells Izuku that he knows about his basic immortality, that he basically can't die, so he can torture him all he wants because he knows damn well he feels pain. Izuku would look at his body as he can see this pink-like or looking like substance continue to kind of go over his body. He thinks that maybe his skin will look like hers. He doesn't know what the heck is going on, but he can feel different. He feels entirely different, and eventually the woman would walk up. The woman would begin to ask the scientist what's going on, what's happening, and what he wants her to do. And of course, this is kind of an odd thing for Izuku, because he's like thinking, what the hell is going on? Like what is even happening, and what is she doing? And what is going, like what is even going through the head of this scientist and through the head of this woman that just appeared? In which immediately, well, the doctor says that he wants Android 21 to actually go over there and absorb him. Izuku is like, absorb? What the hell are you talking about? Absorb what? In which Izuku, still seeing his skin creep up on itself and eventually turn a solid pink, and the doctor says that he's done a lot of tests, hours and hours. He doesn't sleep anymore. All he's done is test his DNA, and he realizes that he has basic absorption, to the point where if you are absorbed, that more power will be gained. And on top of that, it seems like it's a missing piece for this one right here. Izuku looks at the woman and looks at the girl and asks if this is what she really wants. Android 21? Is that even her real name? Seriously, there's just no way that some person would label someone an android and just call them 21. It's ridiculous. It's idiotic. You must have a name, an actual name, in which she kind of looks at the doctor and doesn't really say anything, but just looks at him. That's it. In which immediately he's thinking, this is ridiculous. You're really going to take my life away. You're really going to do this. You're really going to end my life just because he said so. In which Android 21 would eventually basically tell him that you're right. I'm not Android 21. That's not my name. It's actually Bami. In which immediately Izuku shakes his head and says, good. Like, you have a name. Why would you let someone like him control you? Why would you let someone like him control every aspect of what's happening? The scientists would immediately tell Izuku to shut his mouth, actually putting a gag around Izuku's mouth that is fully made of metal. Izuku would struggle trying to talk, but Android 21 her gaze would go from Izuku to the doctor and immediately would kill the doctor. Then walking up to Izuku and says that he's really interesting. He looks just like her. Well, at least similar. He's obviously a male, but they look pretty similar, huh? In which Izuku realizes that she's not a good person. That whatever's happening within her body, whatever's going on, she's not good. But Izuku would eventually be left free, and he stands up with her, and she says that, well, he said that if we fused, we brought together, I absorbed you, that I would be complete once again. That I'd be where I was supposed to be. That I would be the person, the creature, the monster, the hero, the villain, whatever I wanted to be, but I would be the combination of us two. The true, what he labeled as Majin. In which Izuku shakes his head and says that no one has to die anymore. No one has to be absorbed. No one has to go away. Izuku would look in her eyes though, and she's already made up her choice. She's already cut off her strings from the doctor, and she's about to cut off some more, because she immediately sends Izuku flying out of the building. He would crash after building, realizing that whatever strength she has, he has it. He just has to bring it out. He just has to show everyone another level. In which Izuku, he continues to try and defend himself, continues to try to fight back, and eventually All For One, Shigaraki, and many others are actually using this as a way of basically taking over and fighting, and also possibly eliminating All Might. But the thing is, he doesn't know that All Might is in peak shape. He is in prime All Might state, and when All Might goes to conflict with All For One would be defeated very fast, like very quickly. And on top of that, All Might would actually be able to swoop in, knocking out Shigaraki and knocking out the entirety of the League of Villains. All For One unprepared for this, because he was unprepared for what Izuku truly is. Izuku doesn't have a quirk. Izuku is a Majin, in which Izuku continues to try and fight Android 21, telling her that it doesn't have to be this way, that they can figure something out, that no one has to be absorbed, no one has to disappear. But immediately he would be engulfed partially in this goo, and this goo would kind of cover him up, and Izuku would shake his head. No, don't do this. You don't have to do this. And eventually All Might would see what's happening, but Izuku would put out his hand, telling him, no, don't move. in which Izuku would tell him this because he doesn't want anyone else getting, for one, absorbed, but also he doesn't want anybody else getting involved. He thinks that he can get through to her. He knows, but maybe he's wrong. He's just a kid. He's just a teen going through high school. What is he supposed to know? How is he supposed to know? This is a different scenario, a scenario that nobody would have been prepared for, a scenario that nobody would have been ready for. And Izuku, he wasn't, but he's gonna have to do something about it. Izuku is on the bridge of being absorbed entirely, and he would then scream, roaring to the point where his body would then kind of change. His whole body, no longer even a kind of resembling his normal skin tone, fully pink now and fully bubble gum like. It's weird. Everybody looks and thinks that this is odd, but Izuku tells her that he's not going to allow this to happen, that he'll make sure that she's stopped right here and right now. They clash, and Izuku can feel his strength gathering, rising, and his power being absolutely insane. And he can feel the power, and Android 21 realizes that Izuku has broken through that wall, has broken through whatever kind of wall that was restricting him, and broken through everything that he had doubts in, that he is truly channeling the powers of a Majin, but his powers are more pure. His powers are not artificially made. His powers, well, he was born with them. But this does lead Izuku into realizing that the only way to stop this, to end this, is to absorb this woman. Absorb Bami, a woman that was once existing, a woman that was once normal, a normal scientist, now android. Android 21 needs to be absorbed, and this Majin needs to be taken out, in which eventually Izuku would find and bolster up a plan with the help of All Might, and they would find a way to catch her off guard, and Izuku would surround her and absorb her, actually absorbing her powers, her strength, and everything to boot. And it seems like Izuku can feel this strength just overwhelm him, this strength just flow throughout his entire body, and then he looks toward All Might, and a smile would grow on his face. But that smile would eventually turn into a very, very off-putting smile. Izuku would scream as if it's like some sadistic laughter, and he would charge toward All Might. All Might would be shocked and throw a punch, but it's caught by Izuku, and he lands a clean knee to his stomach, sending him flying. All Might would watch as he basically is getting sent away. He would recover himself and then tell Izuku to stop this now. Stop what he's doing. He has to get a hold of himself. He has to figure this out. This is not him. This is not what he is. It's not who he is. Izuku would shake his head, and a little bit of Izuku would get through, and he would tell All Might that they have to capture him. They have to stop him, because he doesn't know if he could stop himself. He doesn't know what this is. And immediately he would charge back forward at All Might, fighting him, and All for One would begin laughing, saying that the kid's only way to stop that freakish, fake, horrible lab experiment was to absorb her. But in absorbing her, it transferred a very evil consciousness into Izuku, and now he's fighting with it, fighting for control. This consciousness, well, is pure evil. Something that she was holding on to, something that is now transferred into Izuku, and something that his human body cannot handle. Of course, All for One would laugh more and more while he's already captured and he's already secured, and he says that even though he won't see the end of that tunnel, he won't see the world bow at his feet, every single person will remember him as the person that created the creature to ensue mass genocide, in which this would shock All Might hearing this, thinking that Izuku is supposed to do that. Izuku's supposed to cause mass genocide. He doesn't believe it. No, he tells Izuku that he's better than this. He tried for everything. He pushed himself for everything he's gotten, everything that he's earned. He wanted to be a hero, and now he can be. Now he will be, but he can't do this. He needs to stop now. But Izuku's powers still growing at a rapid rate, unable to even deter him. His stamina unlimited, and his power seems to be growing rapidly. And eventually, Izuku would look at All Might with a very, very scary grin and put up his hand. That one hand would glow pink, and it would begin to shoot these beams into the sky. All Might thinks that this isn't good. Everybody needs to get down. Everybody needs to run away. But Izuku, well, he's already clearing out Japan. One after another, explosion after explosion. So many are being destroyed and killed. But eventually, Izuku would gain back control, and he would feel that what he did, he knows what he did. And Izuku would immediately try to detain himself, immediately trying to get some sort of restraints on him. And other heroes would come in and help as well, grabbing onto him and kind of securing him entirely. And he tells them they need to get him to a secure facility right now. He can't control this power any longer. He can't do it. And eventually they would get him to a secure facility, one that was able to somehow scramble this quirk, or this power, which isn't even really a quirk, but it somehow scrambles the power and secures him enough to where he actually can't hurt anybody, at least right now. And immediately Izuku apologizes to everybody. He says he's sorry. And, well, not many people know what to say, but the news stations believe that this is a villain, that he has become a villain, and that he is now the worst threat in the entirety of the world. And they begin calling for his head. They begin calling to eliminate Izuku Midoriya, and Izuku doesn't know what to do. The power he saw as his pathway to becoming a hero, his pathway to protecting so many, it's now collapsing. It's now going away. It's now, well, losing everything. He no longer knows what to do. He knows that if he leaves this room, there's a good chance that he's overwhelmed by his evil self once again. But if he stays here forever, well, they might be just counting down the minutes. They might be just waiting for something bad to happen, waiting for something bad to occur. And Izuku can only think that he's going to be bound here forever. Bound here until, well, the other side of him decides to play. And it's the other side of him that decides to react and breaks out of here in an instant. Izuku's worried, and before you know it, after days and days and days and days of thinking, strategizing everything, it seems like the entirety of Japan is preparing for Izuku to come once again, to get out of the prison that was created for him and basically destroy everything. But here's the thing. Izuku doesn't have many choices. He doesn't have many thoughts. He doesn't know. And he thinks that maybe the only way to truly save everyone is for him to go away, far away, to go somewhere in space, to go where this person, this power, and this kind of supposed gift originated. I mean, seriously, he doesn't have another choice. All for One got what he wanted. All for One has made his stamp. And even Izuku knows that he killed thousands, maybe even tens or hundreds of thousands. And he knows that he'll have to live with that burden. But maybe it's best if he goes off, flies off, and goes into space. And if he dies from the, lack of oxygen, well then good. Because, well, at least everyone's safe. But maybe he'll have to explore and leave forever. And eventually Izuku would get a feeling this idea and this feeling that the evil side is coming out very soon, and he decides that he's gonna break out and he'll leave forever. Alarms going off, everybody in a frenzy, and Izuku is floating above the prison. Everybody wonders what's going on. Everybody wonders what he's doing. Heroes, everybody would come over and come to basically subdue him or do something. And he tries to tell him that he's leaving, he's going into space, but many of them begin to say that that's not the right choice. They have a chance. They could save him. They could do something. They could get rid of the evil, but he doesn't even know. But before he could fly away, he is blasted with an explosion, sending him flying back down. Bakugo tells him that this is not how they give up on him, that he does not choose to save everybody. He does not choose the pathway that's basically of least resistance. They are going to figure this out, and they are going to save whatever is left of Izuku Midoriya. Izuku can feel the evil side creeping in once again, and it takes over, and the fight would ensue. Izuku would take on our heroes that are from some of the highest ranking heroes, from All Might to many others, and he's also even taking on villains who believe that this is the only way, that they have to stop Izuku any way they possibly can. Everybody gathering in to basically try their best to stop him. Everybody needs to help stop Izuku. But what will happen to Izuku Midoriya? Will he fly off into space and never be seen again? Or will they find a way to somehow get the evil side out of him? Well, you're going to have to find out in the next and final part of What If Deku Had Majin Powers. If you enjoyed, show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, like I said, leave a like and leave a sub and a comment, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.